Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of Shabby Talk. We are back once again, of course, with PJ Tovey.
Here I am again.
And today we're going to be talking about just a few people that we believe should be in the Hall of Fame. This is not limited. Of course, there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to let us know who you want to be in the Hall of Fame down in the comments section below. These are just a few of our sort of main ones that we think probably will happen this year, or we really want to happen this year.
I think if it was ones that we really want to happen, we would not get one of them. Just because WWE's very different in their processes of picking people to be inducted.
Yeah.
And some of them lately are the Bushwhackers and Rikishi and just really far out people that you'd think, how do you deserve to get the ring and be in the Hall of Fame? So there was people that we'd love to see in there. Some of them are still active. So you know that WWE don't put anyone in the Hall of Fame unless they're retired or dead.
Oh yeah, we know for a fact that the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys over time, The Rock I would class still as active because I think he will come back and wrestle again.
I think if they ended up doing a Miami Mania, I think that would be the only time he'll be the headline draw.
Yeah. But I think the first person we've got on the list, of course, being two guys from the England, where we use very, very poor vocabulary.
Yeah.
Of course, is the British Bulldog.
There's no British man in the Hall of Fame. There's not one Brit. I think he's deserved it in the sense of working for the WWE in the mid-80s after Vince bought out Stampede from Stu Hart. Tag team champion, European champion, inaugural European champion, hardcore champion, and more famous, intercontinental champion, which he won from Bret Hart at SummerSlam 92.
Oh yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Plenty of moments for the Bulldog to even be considered. I mean, even after all of that, he was in the Hart Foundation, came back and forth from WCW.
Do you reckon that might hinder his chances? Do you reckon Vince might have some sort of gripe against some people that left him at a situation where it could have made or broke his company?
I think if Bulldog was still alive, there's no way that the Bulldogs would be entered just because of Tom Billington's history.
Antics.
Well, Dynamite, if you want to call him Dynamite. So with Davey, because they can only induct one person who is deceased every year.
Yeah.
So they have people representing like the children, the wife, a close associate would take on the reward. So it's always been hard. So with Rick Rude, people campaigned for years for Rick Rude to be inducted, and it was finally his year because they had a space open for someone who was passed away. Yeah. So Bulldog's time will come eventually.
I think it has to at some point, yeah. And obviously the next one, talking about the Hall of Fame, of course we are, talking about the Hart Foundation, is one that a lot of people are stunned that are not in there already, and it confused me he's not even on the games, and I don't know if that's to do with WWE's relationship with his wife still, but of course that is Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. They've given him, well, they own the library for his images, so all of his pay-per-view matches, and they've done the Heart of Gold documentary DVD release of Owen Hart, but that's been the only thing they've done since he's passed away. Martha Hart, Owen's widow, has been very hands-on as far as what the company use with Owen, what they do. That is the reason why Owen Hart is not in the Hall of Fame. Martha Hart ended on a settlement. Vince must have paid a lot of money for compensation after the accident in 1999. I don't think you'll ever see him in the Hall of Fame because until she... If Brett can't sway it, and I don't think she'll give in.
Make sure what Brett's opinion is on the situation because of what happened.
I think Brett would be a massive advocate for Owen to be in. Yeah. I think he's astonished that he isn't in there because Brett's in there. Yeah, so I think...
It's an iffy one because it wasn't necessarily the reason why he wouldn't be in that situation if he wasn't a wrestler, of course, but whether they might just want to try and distance themselves from that situation. Obviously, Brett is there because he's a completely separate entity, but I don't know. It's a really tricky situation. It's a really dodgy subject to get into, I suppose, isn't it, really?
Well, I don't think Brett's got much sway. He's been very public of how he feels about Paul Levesque very candid in interviews. So I believe that Triple H is the person who's the decision maker underneath Vince.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of sway on who gets inducted year to year. So Owen Hart is once a dream. I think it's a dream for everybody. I think we're talking for everybody as far as a position.
I think it's quite obvious if you put all the politics to one side. It's quite obvious that guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. No questions asked.
So we can't go on. We'll be here for another 20 minutes. So the next man.
Well, the next man I want to skip down a little bit further first because this is a man who recently has had some very bad news because of his health.
Yeah.
And it might be a really nice thing to do to put him in the Hall of Fame now before he does end up becoming in that same bracket as Owen Hart and British Bulldog, and that of course is Vader. Because Vader, he was given not long ago, he was given 2 years to live, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And although I think he's actually doing really well, and I think they've actually upped that a little bit now because of some lifestyle and health choices he's made, but I still think it would be a gesture for the WWE to bring him into the Hall of Fame now, and he's done enough work in the past. He's done enough for wrestling, I think, to warrant that position.
I think, once again, still being active, doing indie promotions, Vader only had a 2-year tenure with the company. He came in at the 96 Royal Rumble when he got released from his WCW contract because he had a shoot fight with Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. So he jumped over to the WWE, former WCW champion, got beaten by Ron Simmons very famously as the first black American to become WCW champion. So he's very pivotal in wrestling history. But just it didn't work in the WWE when he came in.
They're a very strong run in Japan as well, and I think that's one thing I've noticed they've done a bit more recently is you don't necessarily have to have all your time in WWE to be Hall of Fame. Look at Tatsumi Fujinami, he never stepped foot in the ring, did he? Abdullah
never wrestled for the WWE.
I still can't believe Abdullah's in there, you know.
There's a few people.
Yeah.
James
nothing
Dudley.
against Abdullah, just some of the things that have happened in the past and some of the allegations against him. I just can't believe that he was in there.
There's many questionable Hall of Famers. Johnny Rodz, trainer for Tommy Dreamer and Taz. So there's been a lot of people who are in that. It's not really a recognised Hall of Fame if you ask the people. There's the Cauliflower Ears. I think that's another Hall of Fame. Again, we don't really want to talk about TNA's one. That's not really of a high standard. So there's a lot of individual Hall of Fames, but the WWE is the grand stage. It's the great event, a lot of production value. But the next person, although Vader, we've got to note his Stan Hansen induction. Stan Hansen got inducted, and it felt like Vader was accepting his own speech in the way it felt like it was his own induction. And I think if that's all they'll have of him, being at the Hall of Fame and inducting somebody else, it's got to be time for him.
Yeah, I think based on, to go on to someone else now, based on what happened this year and what we think might have been basically the signals from the Undertaker that he was retiring, taking off his boots and taking off his coat and taking off his hat and leaving it in the middle of the ring, would now be the right time to induct Taker into the Hall of Fame? Or is there still an opening for him to come back?
No way to come back. Absolutely no way. Wrestles once a year. When you see pictures of him on his downtime, he's frail, old, grey. And then it just seems for 3 months he just gets into Undertaker mode, goes to the gym, works hard, and then comes back looking like he's 10 years younger. But I just don't think he can carry on doing that no more. He's been known to have a very bad back problem. He's had that for decades. I think he's done enough. You know, he's done enough for Vince to finally pull back the curtain to say, this is my creation. This is Mark Calloway. I made him, and this is the final presentation. To have him at the Hall of Fame, for Kane to induct him. If it's no one else than Kane, I will be pissed.
Well, it has to
There's
be Kane,
nobody else, because if Paul Bearer was still alive, I think we all know.
Oh yeah, well, if Paul Bearer was still there, he would be in there. Maybe that would be what it was if Taker was inducted this year. Is Paul already in there?
Paul Bearer?
Yeah.
Oh, of course he is, yeah.
He's already in there, yeah.
His son sold his Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, of course he did. I remember now, yeah. Yeah. I think this year with FC, and like I say, Kane is the perfect person to induct him, really.
Although he's going down his politics and he's becoming a senate for a certain county in America.
Yeah, which is why we haven't seen him in a while, isn't it? Really?
No, so that's probably the only man for me to induct. Taker.
Yeah, and going back to the English route again, of course, a man who was heavily rumoured to be in the Hall of Fame this year, but there was some change last minute, which we think was because they wanted to be one of the headline people in there, and that of course is William Regal.
The man has done he's one of those you wouldn't question, like we've done in the past with the Bushwhackers and certain people like that, the Big Boss Man, you know, Jim Duggan. He's earned it.
Definitely, yeah.
As far as being with the company since on and off 1998,
Yeah.
Loyal to the company, doing fantastic things in NXT right now, and he's been doing it for so long.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't think if they didn't have Regal, and with him bringing in Robbie Brookside and being the eye for talent as far as who comes in and who goes, without him, NXT would not be what it is. I know they say Dusty built it, but Regal was furnishing it.
Oh yeah,
with Triple H.
You look how his scouting goes, and himself, he's at Evolve events, he's backstage at PWG events, he's going to Ring of Honor events, he's all over the country looking for talent. He's back in the UK, he's doing open training sessions in the UK with the UK talent because he's from people there, and he really is just going all out, isn't he?
For people out there who just see him as a snobbish British man, there's a interview, I believe it's on YouTube, with him with a shoot interview, and you're talking to Darren Matthews. Darren Matthews is his real name.
Yeah.
And he's a very candid interviewer, so he would be very open of his drug history, his wellness policy problems. Just very proud to say that he's a British man, and with Davey, because Davey's passed, if you can't give it to William Regal and you give it to someone like Fit Finlay before him, you know, he's got to be the first British man in there as the Hall of Fame.
It wouldn't surprise me, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And I got one more I want to talk about, and I think it was very close this year to happening because I saw a few things on Twitter. Of course, being British again, we were very much involved in this. A man we saw quite a lot wrestling in the UK, and that was Chris Travis.
Familiar for people out there who might be unfamiliar with Chris Travis, he had some television time in the UK for the boot camp. He got onto the qualifiers and made it through.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
he fell ill then, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell in then. I think I probably should have researched, but I believe he had stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Was what it was, and obviously he wasn't able to compete in TNA boot camp then. I personally put him down as a favourite to win, in my opinion. I think.
Oh, definitely. If you've ever seen the man live,
yeah.
If you've never had the pleasure, you see Martin Kirby now on your WCPWs, and I think he wrestles for Preston and.
Oh yeah, and he was part of the. He was
a part of the tag team. That tag team was fantastic.
Project
Very
Ego,
entertaining. Yeah, one of the best British tag teams that we had, and it's such a shame that it was taken away so soon.
Yeah, he sadly passed away a couple of years ago, and there was a large petition in the UK for him to be given the is it the Warrior Award?
Yeah.
And it was very, very, very close this year. They posted a response from WWE on Twitter, and they said that it was very close, but of course there are a lot of people around the world who deserve this, and it wasn't so much because obviously I think he was battling the illness for about sort of 2 or 3 years, and in that time he raised a lot of money for charity and helped a lot of other people out in a situation where he was in a very, very poor condition himself. And I think it would be nice if he was strongly considered for the Warrior Award again next year.
Again, it seems like we're favouring our home nation to get some sort of induction. But with Chris Travis, again, it's a long shot in the sense of that the WWE don't really have much. I think they may be able to obtain some indie library to give you a highlight reel of what you've done in the ring.
They're working
it's just
pretty
a
well
shame.
on progress in that now, aren't they, in ICW? There must be some stuff there.
It's just an absolute shame he wasn't on their radar before he fell ill. Because, again, we watched him 2 rows back. He was absolutely brilliant in the ring. Clean. Absolutely crisp. You know, really, he could have been brilliant. He could have been.
I'm going to tell you what, the condition that man was in, it really makes you worry. He was in such good condition.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about him is that his entrance music was 96 Quiet Bit of Beans by CKY.
It was. And
that was really cool, that was. But yeah, I think, and like you said, we're sort of favouring the British guys, but let's remember, like you said, there's no British people in the Hall of Fame at the moment.
No.
We deserve a few places, don't we?
And I know there's plenty of people out there with their opinions on who they believe should be in the Hall of Fame, and we're very open to your opinions.
Oh yeah, we had quite a few more listed down, but we've got to stop an episode at some point, haven't we? We had Ivory written down, that we Molly Holly potentially as well, Midnight Express, like we said about the Dudleys and the Hardys are there as well. Yeah. Lex Luger, there's so many different people that could be in there, and it's going to take a long time for WWE to catch up because they only started doing the Hall of Fame. What was it? early 2000s.
They done the original ones in the mid-90s, and then they reintroduced it in 2004.
So they've got a hell of a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know in the comment section below who you think should be in the Hall of Fame, and if you think they might get themselves in there this year, or what might be holding them back. And of course, we'll try and reply to as many as we possibly can. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, please do like and again subscribe for more. And we'll be back hopefully next week for some more Shabby Talk. I've been Shabby Gamer.
I've been PJ Tovey.
And we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.
The ones who